Welcome back. I had to play detective with all of our wiring issues. Now, when we pulled this one out, it was very difficult. It was jammed in there and stuck on the edge like it was been in there for a long time. I would guess that it was original, but when we lined up our plugs, we had a missing terminal on the new harness. And I'm like, well, they gave me the wrong harness. It wasn't in the right bag. It was not marked. But on further inspection and looking at a wiring schematic, the missing port here is for the oil pressure sensor, which this car shouldn't have because it has gauges. It has a mechanical oil pressure gauge. So, did the factory just throw the other harness in and cut the wire off? Because I did find the other end of it snipped inside over here. It just wasn't hooked to anything. So, that may have been what the issue is. So, we do have the right harness. Now, repairing the other damaged harness inside, we're pulling some of the plugs out of the old harness here. I didn't know how these pushed out, which direction. So this is going in the trash eventually. So I sliced it open with a hacksaw to see where the push pin is. You got to push out down in that way from this direction, and then you could slide it forward. So here's what I'm using. An old screwdriver that I thinned down really small. I pushed out like 3 of them now. It does take quite a bit of force and kind of wiggling around. You got insulation shoved inside here that you got to kind of pick out. It's like a dried up foam or something, who knows. You're going to be getting underneath this way to push on that tiny little tab right there. I said it takes quite a lot of wiggling around. There we go. See all this junk in there? That's what you're kind of fighting to get past. And then now we're going to see if we could put that into the other part. We'll have to pry that back out. So when you pull it in, it'll click in and not go back and forth. The only schematic that we were able to get was for a 64, and it should be very similar to a 65 with a few small exceptions. So the brown wire that was coming out of our plug there that went straight through, it was supposed to be a brown wire, and there it is there, and it goes to the voltage regulator. So we have our meter set up over here. Let's see if we got continuity. Yep, we know where it's going. Inside the car now, it shows it branching off to 2 spots, a brown and white. Let's see, the brown wire should go to where we found was, all right, no, the brown is going to the generator indicator lamp, which this car won't have because it has an ammeter, because that's in the dotted line above it. So the schematic shows both. So it wouldn't have that wire, and it doesn't. Brown and white goes to the ignition switch. And there should be a brown coming out of that. That's going to where? I believe to the fuse box. Brown, yeah, to the fuse box. That we have to double check to make sure it's in there. We got to repair that plug, and then we'll be able to put the junction block back together. Okay, further evidence here. This is the wire that we need to repair. Hopefully they didn't butcher that, and the new terminal will clip back into that spot there, and then we'll run this wire up to the ignition switch where it's supposed to go. The plug here is empty. That would have been for the oil pressure light in this car, so this is more evidence that yes, this car did have the factory gauges. It wasn't added in later on. And the black and the white wire that go to the ammeter come out right here with my finger, this one and that one. We're going to trace those up there to make sure they're going up to the ammeter. Another thing that we're going to do is we're going to gently clean all these and actually bend some of these open a little bit more so they stick out for this one. But my thumb right here looks a little bit more squashed compared to that one. So we will put a little screwdriver in there and force it open more to make a better connection. Okay, we're going to pull a red wire in instead of a brown wire, but hopefully it will clip into what's left of that plug there and make a good connection. So let's see if it goes in there. Okay, success. It's in there, and it's in there pretty damn tight. So we'll clean those terminals up some more. We could remount this thing back into the car. And then I have to trace some other wires still to make sure they're going in the right places before I attempt to even power any of this thing up. I'm going to power it up well before the engine gets put back in and just run through whatever circuits. I mean, I see stuff hanging over here. Don't know what that is. Hanging there, and a few other connectors here and there, so we got to do some investigation underneath here. I might have to pull the instrument panel out also, just to make it a little bit easier to get behind it and see. There is a plastic oil line going to the gauge. I'm going to put a metal one in there. I don't trust the plastic one. It looks like it's been in there for a while too, so that's on the to-do list also. I cleaned up all the terminals with a little bit of a 400 grit sandpaper just to kind of get any oxidation off of them. And so let's get this box mounted back up here in the car. We will run our wire up to the back of the ignition switch later, or I could connect it to the other one, but I'll probably be running this one piece. I got to put something on here in a few places saying that this is now the brown wire, or brown and white, or whatever it's supposed to be, in case someone else comes poking around and wonders what it's doing. The wiring kit came with a sealing compound to seal up the ends of your connectors, but one of the harnesses that came already had them all sealed up already, so we don't have to do anything with that one. This one we have to seal up the outside terminals on it. I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to push it on over there, and then we'll seal it up when it's on the car. I'm also going to put a little tiny bit of dielectric lube on these terminals themselves, just a small bit to keep any corrosion from forming. All right, the junction block is back in. We plugged in our wires. I shaved a little bit off of the back of that plug because it had to bumping against the metal over there. It didn't really want to go in nice and tight. These have no retaining screw, which is kind of not really good. The other ones have a bolt, and in a little bit newer cars that would hold it in place. So this kind of is just kind of held there. So now I'll take the little grease that they give you and I'll seal these holes up on the other end. Okay, we're all sealed up. I even put a little bit on the other plug so they would look the same. This stuff is weird. Grapho sealing compound. I would imagine it's going to harden up like the original one did. It's got a funky smell to it, so see how it dries up. We got our ohm meter hooked up to the brown wire where it comes out where the voltage regulator is going to be, and we have our wire that we ran through the plug, and let's see if we have a continuity here. Yes, very good. Now we got to run that wire up to the ignition switch. We got our wire unplugged from the back of the ignition switch, and that's the solderless terminal I saw. I have it kind of jammed into the original factory plug here. So we're going to replace that wire. Now we're going to snip off this connector, and we're going to use the wire to pull the other wire, the new wire, up to this. And then I want to trace back the other wire. And needs to go to the fuse block, like right there. I have the pliers pointing at it. So we'll make sure that that's going in the right place. But let me snip this off now. I taped the wires together and pulled them through. No having to fish them through by hand. let the old wire do the work. We have our ohm meter hooked to the brown wire, and that should be coming to the third fuse down right there. Okay, but there's also continuity there and there, so all right, let's finish up this connection here, get this back together. Ended up having to pull the instrument panel out to aid with plugging the switch in the back, and plus we need to do some other things here anyway too. We had to we're going to be running a new oil line to the oil pressure gauge. This comes out pretty easy. It's all Phillips tip screws that go around it, and the radio dials you pull off, and there's the two nuts that hold them on so the radio could sit back in the dash. And we also found some light bulbs that are hanging around and not doing anything with bad bulbs in them anyway. So this one I believe goes down to the heater control. There's nothing from the instrument panel is missing, so we'll get a bulb for that. And then we're at a point now where we're gonna power this electrical system up and test some things. I did find some other issues. It appears to be in the harness that goes to the rear lights. It's like a tape that runs there. That part of it over there is all corroded or cut, and the end of the wiring is actually snipped off over there. So in the trunk where this ends, I also see another wire that's snipped off. So apparently someone tapped into it and ran a new wire to the rear of the car rather than replacing this wiring flat tape. So got to see where that's supposed to be. I don't see where it's hooked up. They pulled the wire back and probably ran it through somewhere else, but let's power up the electrical system and see if we have lights working and other things happening. All right, time to hook up some battery power to certain things to test. We have a temporary ground going to the firewall right here. I believe that's where the ground strap's supposed to go to the engine. We'll have to get one of those still too. But I have my ohm meter set up over here on a screw on the radiator support. That's going to ground, and we'll see if this ground is good. That's good. We have our old wire going to our blower motor. I want to test it first. All right, it's not going to ground. That's good. So let's power it up with the battery box here and see if we have a blower motor that works. Is it going to reach? No, of course it's not going to reach. All right, we got a blower motor that works. That's good. It doesn't want to restart already. Ah, and now it died. Probably has a dead spot. All right, we had a blower motor that works. Can't make this shit up, folks. We hot wired our wiring system right now. I threw a 10 amp fuse in line temporarily just to see hopefully you wouldn't have any shorts anyplace. We have a ground going to the firewall. We have all of these terminals hooked up on the horn relay. And this is, I might do a separate video just on this alone, because this has been a lot of discussions between a lot of different people over the years looking at a factory wiring diagram. I called people, I consulted friends, and this should be right when you have the factory ammeter in the car. The wiring diagram shows something different, but we have it hooked up. And let's go inside now and turn some stuff on and see if anything works. See if we have headlights. The horn's not going to work because we don't have a horn, so we'll have to, where's the headlight switch? Oh, and we hit something pop. I heard a pop. Was it this? Yes. All right, let's see if we have ignition power coming over here. We got a test light right there. Ignition's off. Ignition's on. Good. All right, let's see if we have crank. That's cranking. Good. All right. Gonna put parking lights on now. We blew out that little fuse with the headlights. That fuse might not be big enough. I'll put parking lights on there and see. So we got the parking lights on. Let's see if there's anything lit up. No. No. All right, we have rear lights. Wonderful. Okay, still got a 10 amp fuse in there. Let's see what happens with the headlights again. If it pops. Oh, yes. Do we have instrument lights? Let's see. Yeah, that's good. Okay, we put a 15 amp fuse over there, and we have, oh, we got the high beams on. All right, let's go and switch them off. Is the indicator light on the dash for high beams? Oh, yes, it is. A little red light there on the bottom. All right, let me go find the foot switch, turn them down. All right, high beams are on. Where is the foot switch? High beams are off. All right, good. What about blinkers now? We got no blinkage. We got nothing on that side. All right, we're gonna have to look at that. All right, jiggled around the bulb in the back. We got blinkage. We got blinkage on the front. Let's go see. No. Wow, that's working now. Typical stuff like this. We got blinker up in the front. Oh yeah, we do. 2 Phillips screws, and what do you think? That's blown. There we go. Okay, new bulb. We got the parking lights on, and we have blinkers. Gotta clean that connector up more. All right, let's try this blinker now. Got clickage, that's good. All right, yeah. I gotta clean up inside that socket housing. It looks pretty clean, but apparently it's not clean enough. Let's see if we got blinker on this side now. All right. Very good. License plate lights, both of them, yes. We're gonna test our reverse lights and see if they're working. We have them plugged in. We have them jump together over here. Let me turn the key on and see if we have some reverse lights. Oh yeah, very good. To get these to work, there's going to be a switch actually mounted on the shifter. When you put it into reverse, it will engage the light. So this is, again, something that was in the car already before. It wasn't hooked up. The ends were broken, but I'm not crazy about this plastic loom because that's not what the factory would have done. We will probably just tape this up and send it back there when the transmission finally arrives. I want to test the horn relay, so we have a test light hooked up. We got everything powered up here. Let's see if we got some light here. All right. Beep, 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 beep. Now, let's see if it works on the car now. Nothing. Another wire to trace inside. Testing our Italian horn just to see if the relay and everything works. We're going to ground out the relay. We have that hooked up to the negative part of the battery, and we should get a little note. Very good. Now we're going to go in the car and try to do the same thing. We know either the steering column contact is not working or there's something under the dash. Let's figure that out. The black wire between the purple and the gray wire on the ignition switch, the column harness is the one that connects up to that. So we got to find that in here, and we're going to ground it out with our wire and see if it works. And we got the column switch pulled off. There's a little clip that holds it to the rod. Just pulled it down to get a little better access. The black wire is the one that's heading out to the horn relay right now. When we have a wire just pushed in there, we should ground it and it should blow. All right. We know that wire is good. Now the wire going up to the column is probably what's bad. And this goes into a bunch of other connectors here also. Now maybe the connection is bad. Oh, look, the thing just came off in my hand. Let's ground it out. Let's plug this end in here and we'll be able to see if the contact is good inside our switch. Let's see if it blows now. Okay. Pulled off the horn button and unscrewed a little contact, and there's a spring in here. The spring makes contact with the bottom. I think there's supposed to be a wire that clips in here and then it attaches onto the contact, but let's see if we can get it to work this way. We will. And it appears to be that it might work. Let's see. There we go. Let's tighten this up now. Be right out. Well, most of our electrical system is working. I'm very happy about that. We just have to wait to put the dashboard together once we get the oil pressure line kit and wait for some other parts to arrive. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you, give it a thumbs up and subscribe too. I would appreciate that a lot. Thanks. All right, I'm over at my friend's house checking out the engine for his 65 Chevelle, but he also has 70 Chevelle. It's really nice. Yeah, this is the LS6 car, right?
No, top is.
Oh, all right, sorry. Yeah, this is one Chevelle, and here's the other Chevelle also. This one's the LS6 car. I get them confused. So here's a blue Chevelle and another blue Chevelle. And in the trailer outside is another 69 Chevelle. So he likes his Chevelles.